Hello, algebraites. Let's look at the activity that's in the packet here. It asks you to use your handy-dandy, amazing graphing calculator. We're going to find the exponential function, which is very similar to the linear regression, that produces each graph. So check that the given points are included, and we're going to do that either with the trace, the table function, or when we plot, we can see that as well. So I'm going to zoom in here so you can see the points. So I'm going to use the point 0, 5, and then this point here, 1, 10. So where does that go? Well, we're going to go into our L1, L2, so stat edit. So just hit enter now, or the 1. And if you have already data in these columns, you can scroll up to the top and clear them out, hit enter, and repeat the process for L1. Scroll to the top, hit clear, and enter. If you hit delete, it'll actually get rid of the column entirely, so there's no more L1. So clear the contents. All right, so what are we entering in? So over here, we're entering in a 0, 5. So let's do that. 0, and scroll right, and 5. And now the next one we're going to do is the 1, 10. 1 and the 10. Okay, now according to the instructions given to us here, we're going to enter those in. Done. And then what we're going to do is select Stat Calc, and we're going to do ExpReg, exponential regression, rather than the linreg that we've historically been doing. So let's show you where that is. Go to Stat, scroll right to get to the Calc there, and wait a tick, where is ExpReg? So if you scroll down, you're going to see that it's at the 0, and it turns out that you don't have to scroll down every time. Again, it's so much faster. Watch. If I go to Calc and then just hit the 0 here, notice that ExpReg is already there. So L1, L2 should be here. If it's not, then go to second and see the L1 above the 1, and you can enter it there. Now another thing we want to do is we want to enter our, we want to store our function here into the y1, and how do we do that? Go to vars, go to yvars, so scroll right, and hit enter for function and enter for y1, and that shows up there. And then when you hit enter, enter, you end up with your function. So the A goes here and the B goes there. So this is our final result for the function. So y is equal to 5 times 2 to the x power. So this is my function, and that's one way you can write it. And that's what we would write down here in the A. Now the next part, or the last part, says check that the given points are included. Okay? So how do I do that? Well, number one, I can just graph this. So I'm going to turn on my stat plot, make sure that plot 1 is turned on. It is. And L1, L2 is going to be graphed. So if you go to graph, and I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to use the number 9 because that's zoom stat. And so here's my point there, and there's my point there. So if I were to go to trace, notice right now I'm tracing the P1. P1 means the plot. So as I scroll left and right, notice the point 0, 5, and here's the other point 1, 10 is over there. But if you do the up and down button, it actually changes this to the y1, which means, what's the y1? It's this function right here, the function that looks just like this there. Now this has a lot of zeros, and because the calculator is doing some rounding errors. So let's go back to my graph, and I'm going to trace, and I'm going to go up to go to the y1. And as you're tracing, now you can just go left and right to notice that I'm traveling along the curve there. So when I do get over to here, I will see that I have a 0 and a 5. Now the closest it's going to get is this right here. So you notice right here is 0, 5, so that's pretty darn close. And we can again trace all the way to there to get to 110, and that would be a close as well. So notice the next thing we can do is it asks, well, how do we do it by table? Well, notice above there, see the second and table? What this does is it does input-output real quick for my y function. So notice 0, 5 shows up there, and so does 110. So there we go. It's just showing us the table of the graph. All right. You're going to repeat that same process now for the other 5. And then compare and contrast the 6 functions. How do they look? Where are they crossing? Are they going up? Are they down? Where are they not touching? Etc.